And here we are. Welcome to episode 5 of the Killer Author Club. I am Killer Kara Ruda here with my co-hosts, Kimberly Bell and Killer Heather Gudenkopf. And we're so thrilled tonight, you guys. We have a special guest, killer author Kellye Garrett. And thank you for being here, Kellye.
Hi, I feel like I messed up my name. I was just Killer Kellye, and I had like my full name, like it's like my first day of school.
Perfect. Next time when you're back, we'll just have you just shorten it. It's fine this time.
I'll do better next time.
It's all good. It's all good. We're just getting started, so it's all fun. So actually, Killer Author Club was created because Heather and Kimberly and I all had launches at about the same time. And of course, it was still the pandemic time. So we're like, how can we talk about things we really love to talk about, like it's killing people, fictionally, of course, and then also invite our friends along. So that is how the Killer Author Club began. And we want to recommend to everybody, please put your comments in the comment section, and we will try to get as many, and questions for Kellye as well. We'll try to get as many of those questions answered along during the show. Also, we are going to have a giveaway, so stay tuned for that. And, pretend to follow, or not pretend, do follow along. But it's really important. There'll be a clue to what the giveaway question is. I'm so good at this. Okay, anyway, without further ado, I will introduce Killer Heather to introduce our special guest.
Yeah, so we are so excited because we have Kellye Garrett here. And Kellye is the author of the upcoming novel, Like a Sister, which hits the shelves next Tuesday, March 8th. It's a story about a Black woman in New York City looking into the mysterious overdose of her estranged reality star sister. Kellye also wrote the Detective by Day Lightweight Mysteries series, which have won the Anthony, Agatha, Lefty, and the Ippy Awards, and have been featured on the Today Show as a best summer read. She serves on Sisters in Crime National Board and is a co-founder of Crime Writers of Color. And I have to say, Like a Sister probably has the best tagline of any book that I've seen for a long time. Okay, so here it goes. I found out my sister was back in New York from Instagram. I found out she died from the New York Daily News. So how thrilling, exciting, wonderful is that? So we are so excited, Kellye, that you're here with us. We can't wait to dig into talking about what it's like to kill in your books and learn more about you. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. And before we get into all the questions, because I already see them, they're coming in right now, and we have a bunch too, but we wanted to talk about your killer cocktail, because you have a Like a Sister lemon drop, and I read I think Heather sent us something about it that said it was a personal thing for you, but also it plays into something that happens in the book. So can you tell us about your lemon drop and the significance?
Yeah, so it's the book is about sisters, and so it's her sister Desiree's favorite drink. And so like when she's reminiscing about her with she drinks it. So, and I don't drink, I'm not a big drinker. Shh. Don't kick me off the show. But I asked my friend Chantel, I was like, can you name a drink for me? And so she's like, I love lemon drops. So that's why the lemon drops in there for my friend Chantel. So
I love it. Well, I love a lemon drop. I mean, that is like one of those things. It tastes like candy.
Yeah.
And
I like sweet drinks.
Suck them down, and then you're like, why can't I stand up?
Sometime I'll tell you my story about lemon drops, and it will be off air. But we will have a good laugh about it. So what else? What did you guys bring to drink today, Kara and Kimberly?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I kind of pretty much always have my wine.
Yeah, I brought wine. I have wine.
Yeah.
I have water. I know. It's 10 o'clock where I am, so I'm like ready for bed. So I'm just like winding down with water. Yeah. I had wine with dinner, though, if that makes you feel better.
That's good. I've never had this before. It's a Pollyanner Hefeweizen, some German beer that was in our fridge. My husband likes. All right. Tastes okay.
All right. So. Okay. Well, cheers, everybody.
Pretty good. Yeah. Cheers. And cheers to Kellye on the release of Like a Sister coming next Tuesday. So
yes,
so much fun. And we already are having some comments coming up here. Let me see. Before we get too far in, I know we want to talk about killing, but
Yes, it's
yeah, we
killing
have
time,
some
Heather.
different comments coming up. So we have from Julie, I
Hi,
love
Julie.
Lena. She was so resourceful, never gave up. Is she like you, never giving up?
I feel like I would give up really easily if I was trying to solve a crime, but I didn't give up writing the books. I guess I don't give up on things.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I don't think I'm as dedicated to crime solving though.
And Sharon approves of the lemon drop. A really good shot, she says. So that's
Sharon.
great. Wonderful.
Good.
Okay. All right.
Is
So
it time for our big question?
it is time for our big question.
All right, let me show the question since I'm doing that right now. Okay. The question, Kellye, is what's it like to kill?
Since I'm gonna say, because I hate writing, it's painful. it's not as fun as you think, but I hate writing.
I hear that from so many authors that they hate writing.
I hate it.
Like, what? How?
I think the blank page scares me. I love rewriting.
Oh,
So I call it the vomit draft, and I just try to like throw things on the page, and I'm like, I'll clean it up later. But just the actual blank page scares the hell out of me.
Oh, wow.
So,
that's like the opposite of me. I love a blank page, and then once people start getting involved editing, I'm like,
Same.
Oh, the fun is gone.
With myself. So what is your first draft? How many words? Because a typical book is probably what, like 90,000. So when you vomit it out, is it like 50? Like it's not a full book, right?
No, I tend to overwrite. Like I will just like write as like just always have like I'm like, oh, I fall in love with like words and phrases, and so I'll like just do too many, and then I have to cut it down. So like I will say that the final draft before we cut it of Like a Sister was 112,000 words.
Oh.
My editor cut out 10,000, and then I cut out another 5,000. But get this, we didn't cut a single scene. We just went through and literally cut out. That's how wordy I am. We could cut out words in each chapter. We could cut out 12,000 words and not cut a single scene because that's how wordy I was.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
that is.
So it wasn't so painful because cutting scenes is painful.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well,
and mine are, I'm the exact opposite, Kellye. I'll write and I'm like, the story's finished, and it's like 50,000 words.
You have to pad it. You have to.
There's a whole half a book missing. I'm like, oh.
Do you just expand on scenes, or do you add like new scenes? Like, what do you do?
I think it's kind of a mix of both, because I mean, if there literally is half a book missing, then I'll have to add more scenes. But mostly it's expanding, and sometimes I tend to, like, especially first draft, make people not very, almost too not obvious, like I'm hiding too much. And so I need to be a little more overt about certain things.
Page,
and that's kind of my, like my people keep things really close to their chest. And I'm like, oh, the reader will figure that out. My editor's like, no, they won't. No.
Yeah, it can be hard. It's hard to find that balance of like, you don't want to be like, duh, it's too obvious, but also like have them kind of be able to follow. It's a tricky part.
Exactly. So I have a question. So New York City is kind of like a character in the book. Why did you set it in New York?
Because I live here.
I thought you were out here.
Really?
No,
I didn't know that.
People think I live in LA because I wrote my other two books. Yeah. I lived in LA when I had the idea, but I'm from New Jersey. I moved back to Jersey about 11 years ago now, 2011. And so I really believe, I like when I put real places in a book. I like when you can recognize something. And so like the easiest thing was I knew New York because I work in New York City. So I know the city really well. So I just like wrote about what you know, right?
Yeah, I'm like that too. I have to kind of know my setting before I can write about it. But that's why I was asking, because I thought you were out here with me.
No, it's funny, when I wrote the first Dana book, I was there, so it was very fresh. And when I wrote the second one, I was back in New Jersey, so it was actually hard to like remember where places were. And I'd be like, oh, is that place still around? Look, I had friends in LA still who would like tell me like, oh no, that place closed. So, but it's hard like for me not to write if I'm not in that area. So.
Yeah, I think readers like that too. I hear that a lot, that they love recognizing like real places, real restaurants, real streets, real,
Yeah. And that's when I was younger. I like read Valerie Wilson Wesley and Harlan Coben, and they both are Jersey writers, and they set their books in New Jersey. And like I would get so excited as a teenager, like, oh, I recognize that highway, I recognize that town, and so that's why I do it, because I loved it when I love it when I read books still if I recognize it.
Yeah.
So I have 3 brothers, 2 sisters, and this book is about siblings, and I just loved just the dynamic, the family dynamic in the book. It's complicated, it's messy, but there's a lot of love there. And how hard was it? Because we learned very quickly that Lena's sister dies in the book. And how'd that feel to kill her sister?
I mean, it was fine. I guess fine. I mean, you know why? Because I got the idea from an actual Daily News headline about a pregnant reality star found dead in the Bronx with cocaine and no pants on. And so, because I write mysteries, in my mind, someone has to die anyway.
Yeah.
You know? So the basis, it started off with her death, and actually Lena came later, but it literally started with Desiree dying. So for me, like, she's always been dead, you know, so I don't think it's as hard. Like, it wasn't like I killed her, like decided to kill her after I like spent all this time. Like, she's always been dead, so it wasn't that hard. It's not hard for me to kill her.
So that's kind of a convenient death. Then you didn't have to kill anybody, even though you're on the Killer Author Club. So we like to say killer a lot on here.
It's funny. I in my first book, the person was already dead, and then I think in the second book of the Day series, the person dies like the first chapter. So I always kill people early.
Yeah. And I think when you go into a story knowing that this character is going to die, it's very different than halfway through that you think, oh, I got to kill this person off. So along those lines,
can I just say one thing? It's not really a spoiler, but there's a character who dies, and like a sister that I literally created just because I was like, oh, someone has to die here. So I created a whole character and like a sister who the whole purpose was just for me to kill her. Kill them, not her, them.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it.
So it's easier to do that, right? But look at this question here from Audrey Murray. Have you ever killed a character and then decided you needed him or her and deleted the murder?
I personally have not. Like, once you're dead to me, you're dead to me. In real life too, like, you're dead to me. I haven't, but yeah, I have. Have you guys?
I've not like brought somebody back to life, but I've killed characters who I thought would last throughout the book. Yeah. And then they just have to go, you know. They just have to go.
I agree. I had like a husband who I thought, I mean, he was a bad guy, but he was trying to make amends and he was going to come back around, and then all of a sudden, poof, his wife got him. I'm like, oh, sorry. I won't say who, but sorry, guy. That's unfortunate. But I didn't know whether he was going to live or die, like, until it happened. I'm like, wow, she's kind of vicious. But anyway.
Okay. And I think you've already answered this question for me, because not only was Like a Sister fast-paced and suspenseful, the main character, Lena, is really funny. She had such a sharp sense of humor. I found myself like laughing out loud at some of her one-liners. So I was going to ask you, are you funny? But we already know that you are, because we've spent 15 minutes with you. So is it hard to write funny? Because I don't write funny.
You know what? So my series, my day books were meant to be like very light, like lightweight, funny, heightened reality books. I was intending to write a serious book. And then I had a friend, Lizzie Skernick, who was reading in early pages for me. And she texted me. She's like, I was laughing so hard on the train. And I was like, no, like that was not like, no, like you're not supposed to laugh. But obviously, like, I'm naturally sarcastic. And so it's just going to come through it, especially in a first person narrative. And so I kind of like leaned into it. So even though the book is not meant to be like a comedy, it still has, like you said, humor in it in the way of Lena's outlook on life. So.
You
know, but I love that, a thriller that can make me laugh. Kara, you had one that made me laugh out loud. I can't remember which one it was.
It was
I love dark
with
humor.
Creepy Paul, wasn't it? With
Best
Day Ever.
Kind of,
No, the one. What came after Best Day Ever? That's the one
The Favorite Daughter.
Yes, so funny.
Jamie's obsessed with ways to die in your house. So I mean, I love dark humor. So I agree, and it's like, to me, especially in a first person situation, your narrator, like, she used dark humor to kind of distract you from what she was up
Right.
to, which was I had fun with that.
And you don't see it that often in thrillers, which is what makes it stand out so much, I think, right?
Yeah.
I think it helps with the levity, especially with thrillers. If you have such you can't be like up here the entire book, because otherwise the climax and stuff is not going to hit hard. So you have to kind of like, even in like screenwriting, like there's a whole sequence that's meant to like have your heart rate go down so you can have it back up again. So I think that's why humor, I think, works so well when you see it in books. So.
Well, I know I've added a new phrase to my vocabulary, nutballs, and
wait, shit! Can you talk about shit nuts? Shit nuts?
Shit nuts. So funny.
I don't know where I came up with that. Just one day I was like, shit nuts, yay! And of course I leaned into it, like it's on every other page. But
so funny. Okay, so Rebecca has a question. When you kill a character, do you prefer to research how to make the death accurate, or you just go with your instinct?
I think it depends. Sometimes, like if it's something like super, like a gunshot, I'm just like, oh, he was shot, you know? It also depends on what kind of research it reveals the character. My character has to find out. Like if there's something with like a gun that's gonna be a plot point that's gonna help a reveal, then I'll probably do more research. But I'm not like a hardcore like researcher when it comes to murder or like to kill. Because actually, I'm such a wuss when it comes to like things like that. So I don't actually want to spend a lot of time like researching, you know.
Do you get queasy when you like the whole blood and is that kind of?
Not that, but there's certain like dark, like I can't read darker stuff. Like I remember I read like a James Patterson book like 20 plus years ago, and there was one scene that was so disturbing I still think about it. So I don't read darker stuff just because I can't imagine, because when you write a book it takes like a year or months or whatever. So like if you're writing like a torture scene, it's going to take you more than just an hour to write it, right? So you have to live in like torturing somebody for like a week or two. Like I don't want to do that. Yeah. Some people do it really, really well. It doesn't bother them. And it's so great. But that's just not me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I kind of have like when it's on the page, when I'm writing something either gory or even, you know, I mean, I don't do sex scenes, but I've heard from lots of my romance author friends that sex scenes are like the least sexiest thing on the planet to write, because you're thinking about choreography, you're thinking about, you know, logistics and all these things. And it's kind of that way when something scary or gory happens on the page. For me, it's like, you know, I can put some distance between me when I'm writing it, because you're thinking about all these other things rather than what is actually happening to this poor person, right?
Right. Yeah. So Desiree, who is the victim in this book, is a former reality star. Do you watch? Are you a fan of reality TV?
I love it.
And if so, what do you watch?
I pretty much watch every Real Housewives. I used to watch New Jersey, but actually, ironically, I don't watch Jersey anymore.
It's so good this season.
It's just like I think I have to just go through, because once you like miss a season and like, so you know, it's like 4 seasons, you're like, well, do I just jump in or do I have to go back and watch the 4 seasons so I can understand?
I feel quite sure you could just jump in and be
I want to understand, like, why does X hate Y? Like I have to go back 2 seasons to see the origin of why they hate each other. Like that's how dedicated I am to my TV watching. But I just caught up on like Beverly Hills. I watched Salt Lake City, which just had the reunion. Like I'm like a hardcore Real Housewives.
Yeah,
me too.
So
Me too.
And were you a screenwriter out in LA before this?
I worked so I had my master's degree from USC, and then I worked on TV for about 8 years, and I spent a year on the show Cold Case. So I do have a TV background, which I think is why my books are so plot heavy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, that's great. I think it's great because my daughter's a screenwriter, and I like that way of writing is so smart to have in your brain. You know, either being able to do both is pretty amazing to me.
Yeah. And I think it makes a book very visual when you're thinking about it, you know, from a screenwriting perspective.
Yeah.
It just feels like a movie playing on paper.
Yeah. But the thing that's hard is that I don't do a lot of description. I have to force myself to describe like a house, because I'm like, it's a house, it's a couch. So like that's what I suck at. And I think because of screenwriting, you don't really need to explain that because it's visual, right?
Visual.
So that's what the bad thing about my background with screenwriting is I have to force myself to do better description. So
yeah, and my daughter will tell me, she's like, oh my gosh, look at all these words. Can you just drill it down? I'm like, don't know how you guys do that. And
You gotta cut, like, get to the good stuff, because you don't have, like, you only have like a set amount of time in a screen, like a TV show. You have like 42, literally 42 minutes to do a whole show. So you have to, like, it has to go, right? So
every word has to count.
has to count. Every scene has to move the story forward in some way, which you just can't have someone walking down the street like looking at the flowers. So
Right.
Absolutely. Oh, and Sandy says, thank you for introducing me to a new author. Very excited to read Kellye's new book. It sounds thrilling. It is thrilling. It's excellent.
So also this one, can you repeat the name of the book you're talking about? I think this was your first series, the Homicide.
Oh, yeah. So it's Hollywood Homicide. It's a Detective by Day series. And then Hollywood Ending's the second one. So it's on Amazon. I just re-released it as ebook, so you check it out.
Okay. Very cool.
And then, of course, we're talking about Like a Sister right now.
Yes.
So,
and Kellye is so kind. She's going to be giving away 2 copies of her book.
Yes.
So we have the killer giveaway coming up of Like a Sister. Kellye is generous enough to be giving away 1 signed, finished copy, open to any USA reader, and 1 audiobook copy open to everyone. But in order to get a chance at winning one of these copies, you have to answer the following question. And the question is, name 1 award Kellye has earned for her writing. So hopefully you were paying attention earlier. If you missed it, then you can go back and rewatch. And all you need to do is drop the answer in the comments wherever you're
you
at.
guys, I won't say what it is, but this is actually one of them. It looks like a vase. This little
that's
the regular-
beautiful.
Yeah, it's the one that from Bouchercon. Isn't that interesting?
I love
so you can
it.
just say the red one.
You're gonna say the red one. The red one.
The
Yeah.
red one, yes. So tell us what one of the awards, there's more than 1 to choose from, that Kellye has earned for her writing, and you will be getting a chance to win a copy of Like a Sister. And we'll leave the contest open for 24 hours, so people who want to get caught up and watch or rewatch or do some research have the chance to figure that out. Another
Of course,
great-
I'm the person who like puts it everywhere because I'm so proud of it. So like, if you go on anything with me, like my Twitter, my Instagram, everything, don't worry. The first thing you see
Go
are
on
the
our
awards.
socials, you got it.
First thing you see are the awards.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love the cover so much.
Yeah.
I take no credit for it at all.
Beautiful
Great
cover.
Yeah.
Oh, and we've got people answering already. So
All right.
people are on top of it. So
I love it.
wonderful.
So, and Kellye, any guest who comes to the Killer Author Club gets a badge, which says that you survived the Killer Author Club. We will be sending you the JPEG of this, and you can post it wherever you would like on your socials
Or on your wall behind
on
you.
your wall behind you. It would look lovely in that frame right there. behind you.
Yes. I'll just move the award over and put it there.
Right.
Exactly. So another word for your wall.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, Kellye, thank you so much for being here.
Oh my God, that was so quick.
So,
Yeah, I
it goes
know.
so fast.
It flew by. It flew by.
so
Thank you for
fast.
having me.
Flies by. It's the lemon drops.
And also, I think just talking about killing makes time fly. That's
I
right.
know, right?
That's right. So congratulations on the upcoming release of Like a Sister. I know people are going to be flooding
It's
the booksellers and
1 week from today, right?
There.
Yeah, it's March
Copy.
8th. March 8th.
It's
March
so
8th.
good.
And you're going to be a sister book release with our very own Kimberly Bell, who's trade
Love it.
paperback of her latest, My Darling Husband, comes out next Tuesday as well. So
Congratulations.
yeah,
I think March is just a great month for so many great crime
Right?
fiction novels
Yeah.
coming out. So.
Yeah.
And when you get to go in person to events, you.
Woo, I'm jealous. So jealous.
I'm so excited.
I know.
Oh,
And
wait,
I will
so-
just remain in this box in my office.
I don't know how I'm gonna act when I actually see strangers like in real life. I'll be like, "Where are you?"
Yeah, that'll be fun. Well, thanks again, Kellye, so much. And now I have to play our closing thing.
Well, wait. First,
Oh, no.
tell us about who's coming back next
Oh,
week.
okay. Sorry, I knew I'd do something wrong. Okay, yes. Okay. So, you know what? Our next victim of the Killer Author Club, I'm not going to tell you who it is, has a summer release about 3 lifelong friends whose lives changed forever when a dangerous, sexy new stranger moves to town. A fabulous novel of manipulation, obsession, and murder. And Riley Sager says, spicy enough to make you sweat until the suspense chills you to the core. How's that?
So that's next in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yes.
2
So
weeks
yes.
from tonight. So what is that? The 15th.
Here, I'll play the thing. Hold on.
Thought you really loved me. Guess.
Okay, was that good?
That's perfect.
You guys are on it with the graphics.
We're still live.
Okay.
on
Bye,
it.
everyone.
Thanks,
Have a good
Thanks,
night.
everybody. Thanks for being
Stay
here.
here, Kellye.